Hey, good evening, my friends. Good evening. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live. My name is Mike Avery, and I'm back here in my home office, my home studio, after being gone last week. In fact, I didn't even do a Wednesday Night Live last week, did I? That's because I was bear hunting. Evening, Craig. How are you, buddy? Jeff, Bernie. Nice to have you along with me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Hello, Ross. Nice to hear from you, buddy. Nice to see you. Rick, good evening. It's, you can tell the days are getting shorter, right? I look out the window now and it's dusk. Brian, John. Hey, Louie, how are you, buddy? Randy. Jerry, Billy, Paul Phillips. How you doing, buddy? The man, the myth, the legend. Brent, you're on my mind a lot today. John Miller, good evening. How are you? My name is Mike Avery, and this is another edition of Wednesday Night Live right here on my social media outlets. Hey, Ed is checking in from a tree. Where'd you go, Ed? So far, just a doe and a 3-point. Patrick says it's hunting time. Michael says, good to see me again. Good to see you. Pat checking in from Ontario. Pat, haven't heard from you in a while. Art, hello there. Jim. You got it, Jen. Brent. Everything tonight is going very well. Good evening, Bruce. Nice to have you along with us as well. As we get back in the swing of things for, well, another week. Oh, that's right. It's Ed Bolanowski's birthday, and he's in a tree. Doesn't get any better than that, does it? In a tree. I like to spend my birthday on the water because I have a summertime birthday. People would think I was crazy if I was in a tree. See? Told you, John. My endorsement worked, and he is now president of the CMU Bass Fishing Club. Congrats. How are things in Newaygo this evening? Eric's in a tree stand, where it's prime time. We're about halfway or 3/4 of the way into the magic hour. It is a great evening to watch deer. Bruce, Jeff, Mike, what's for dinner? Why'd you even ask, Ross? Michigan brand. This is what I just happened to be munching on tonight. These are the original recipe hunter sausage from Michigan brand. It's almost like I asked you to ask me that. Hello, Lori. Good evening. How are you? Derek, nice to have you along with us. Pollution in Lake Erie is so bad. Let us concert. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. Sal, how are you this evening? What a cool name Sal is. I love that. Bear brats over here, eh? Well, that's because you got a bear, Ross. That's because you saw a bear. I didn't see a bear. I sat there 4 nights, didn't see a bear. But it was an interesting situation because Johnny Bowler, the bear whisperer, had these bears. He had them dialed in. What day is it? It's hump day. Evening, Dave. Nice to have you along with us. Johnny had these bears dialed in. They were coming in. Some of them, well, there were 3 different bears on that bait. One that was there every day. One of the bears was one that Scott Gatza ended up shooting, a 350-pound sow. That's a bunch of malarkey, Rob. Just thought of something. I shot the biggest bear. You did shoot the biggest bear, Ross. Lori's hoping to head back up. Good luck, Lori. Those baits have died. That's what happened to me. Bears were coming in daily. And then we got a massive cold front that came through, and it was rainy and cold. And windy. Art's got some venison in the freezer. Good job, Art. And the baits just shut right down. I mean, died. There weren't even bears coming in after dark on the trail camera. So unlike whitetails, you get a nice cold front in, and whitetails will get active, get up on their feet, moving around. Apparently, that's not the same with bears. At least it wasn't in our case. And it wasn't just my bait. It was other baits and other outfitters and other private hunters as well. Hello, George, my outdoor brother. How are you this evening? It is the month of Rocktober now, of course. I used to think Rocktober was the best time of year, my favorite time of year. That's when I was an avid hardcore bow hunter. Um, I think now September is actually my favorite month of the year, at least on years when I have a bear tag. Now, I won't get a bear tag for another 2 years now in Michigan. I will go back to White River, Ontario, Canada, and hunt with Ron St. Louis. Hey, Mike, how are you? Nice to have you along with us. Where'd you go? Ed says a doe and a fawn just walked into the field. What are you waiting for, Ed? You looking for venison? Or are you looking for bone on top of the head? Good evening, Thad. How are you? David. Hello, Mike. What did you spend money on at Jay's today, Mike? Did you buy one of those Brenton USA rifles? What about you, Eric? How's your day going? My day was a good day, busy day. I was in the studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I'll tell you who's coming up on that show shortly. Then I also recorded an offshore tackle podcast. We'll talk about big water fishing tournaments in a minute. Walleye tournaments. Ed's holding out for a buck. And then we did a Primal Tree Stands podcast with Bob Ransom. If you're on the Facebook page, you saw a picture of a nice buck that Bob Ransom shot on the opening day of bow season. Very nice buck. Michigan buck, opening day. Well, I'll tell you this, that I looked very closely at both the 450 and the 350. I did not score with Johnny Bowler. Didn't see one. I looked at the 450 and the 350. I thought the 450 was a little bit of overkill. I thought it had more recoil than was necessary. Very effective. But I thought everything I'm going to hunt with it, I can do with the 350 with less recoil. Plus my grandson Carter could shoot it. And it wouldn't be too bad on him. I don't know about the availability of 450 Bushmaster ammo, but the 350 Legend is everywhere. Bat says he's bow hunting for moose. Was successful. Unit 19 in Ontario. Bow hunting for moose. That's very cool. I think our friend Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats is bow hunting for moose in Ontario right now. I haven't heard anything from him. Good evening, Michelle. How are you? Dave's got to cut a piece of wood to carve a special order fish decoy. All right, Dave, have fun. Make some beautiful art out of that piece of wood. Hey, Jason, good evening. How are you? How are things in the Sioux? Jason Carson's of True North Guide Service. Are you done bear hunting, Jason? Or are you still at it? I'm done. I know the season continues, but Johnny's not having any daytime activity. Plus, I got to record 2 shows next week, and then I go to Ohio on a bow hunt. So I'm out of time. I'm out of time. He is. Okay, Ross, he is. Good. David right now is out at deer camp with Johnny the Bear Whisperer. He hadn't seen a hair. Johnny's watching with me. What am I? You're still at it. No bears on camera in a week, but you're still at it. Good for you, Jason. Hello, Mike. How are you? Yeah, it gets to be tough, doesn't it? Gets to be tough, Jason. Edgar wants to know, what are my thoughts on those guys from Lake Erie? I'm assuming that everybody knows about the Lake Erie situation, but let me just do a quick recap, the very, very basics. 2 guys were fishing in the LEWT, the Lake Erie Walleye Tournament or Trail. I'm not sure which it is. These were guys who they had people looking at them for a while because the fish that they had been weighing in previous tournaments were weighing in heavier than what people thought. You see enough walleye and you get a feel for how big they are. A walleye of a certain length at this time of year is going to be a certain weight, say 5 pounds or whatever it is. And these 2 guys weighed in fish that should have weighed 5 pounds, and they were more like 7 pounds. 2 pounds of fish times 5 fish, that's 10 pounds, enough to win the tournament. Well, the weighmaster / MC of the event, who happened to be a Toledo police officer, he said, something's not right. Something's not right here. So he went over, and these fish are laying in the basket. He said, I want to take another look at your fish. I don't know if he took a fillet knife out or if he took the knife out of his pocket, but he zipped open one of those fish. And in the belly of the fish were big lead weights. I mean, they must have been 4-ounce weights, half-pound weights. I don't know, but they were big, right? Big. And they had walleye fillets wedged between the lead weights so they wouldn't knock together and make noise. So the guy zipped open the rest of the fish, and I think they all had lead in them. They were 12-ounce weights, Thad says. 12-ounce weights. So obviously they were disqualified. It casts a bad pall on their Louis said, I never thought in my lifetime we got weights in fish. He felt the fish, something hard, immediately knew. Right. That was the weighmaster there, the Detroit or the Toledo police officer. Yeah, he picked him up and is like, this belly on this fish is hard. So how crazy is it that these guys were stuffing 12-ounce weights in the mouth of these fish? So they put a 12-ounce weight in, and then they'd stuff a walleye fillet in there and another weight. So there was a fillet between them so they wouldn't bang together. I mean, these guys are pretty hardcore. So what were they doing? Actually out filleting fish and throwing them back while they were out on the water? Yes, Ed, I am saying that they just didn't happen to catch 5 fish that like to eat egg sinkers. Yeah, it's crazy. So what do I think of them? I think they're cheating dirtbags. There's not much else you can think of them, right? I mean, they just really, really did the wrong thing. And they paid for it. And if you see the video, and all you got to do is look it up online, and there's video. They're lucky they didn't get Offshore Tackle sponsored one of them too, Edgar. But as soon as they found out about it, they dropped him. And the tourneys they won or placed in the past 2 years amounted to a lot, like $300,000, what I heard, Mike. I don't know if that's true. Hey, Mike, while we're talking about money, how much money did you spend at Jay's today? And did you get a Brenton USA hunting rifle? It does put a bad light on tournament fishing, doesn't it, John? And it's a shame. Now, I talked to a guy today, Jeff. Where is it? Fox Jr. Yeah, Jerry Fox Jr. He won the Masters Walleye Circuit Championship in Green Bay, Wisconsin last weekend. And I said, what are your thoughts on this? What, could this be happening somewhere else? And he said, yes. He said, any tournament. Oh, the one guy did bail? I didn't know that, Josh. This Jerry Fox Jr., who has been fishing tournaments for 30 years, says, anytime you have a tournament that's a kill tournament, you're asking for trouble. Meaning it's not catch and release, right? You couldn't put 12-ounce weights in the mouth of a fish and expect them to survive. And he said if all of them were catch and release tournaments, you would avoid this problem. You wouldn't be able to have this problem. There were some pretty heated anglers. I'm surprised nobody was hurt too, Mike. That could have easily gone south. And I mean, I'm not a proponent of violence, but could you blame the other tournament anglers for it? They got serious money involved, $306,000 over the last years, and a Ranger 621 with a 400 horse out. Hey, Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, it's pretty. It is pretty messed up, but they got caught. The good news is they got caught. Oh, now, one of the reasons I don't like walleye tournaments or big buck tournaments or anything like that. And I realize they're a lot of fun, and I realize some people enjoy the competition and yada, yada, yada. I get that. For me personally, I don't like any kind of a tournament that involves hunting or fishing for me, unless it's just an absolute fun tournament. Because I hunt and fish for fun. I hunt and fish for relaxation. I hunt and fish to get away from things. I don't want it to be intense. I don't want it to be competitive. I don't want anything about my hunting or fishing to be competitive or intense or um, turn it into a business of any kind more than what it already is for me. So I personally don't like fishing tournaments. I don't like hunting tournaments. I don't like big buck tournaments. Just because for me, I want my outdoor passions, my outdoor activities to be as relaxed and low key as possible. Fred makes a good point. Yeah, going home to their proud families must have been very special. Honey, remember that $150,000 that I've made over the last 4 years? Guess what? I won it because I'm a cheating dirtbag. Yeah, you're right, Fred. You're right. A lot to be proud of there, isn't there? Wow. Joe, good evening, Mike. Just spent over $3,000 at Jay's and heading back home to Bay City. Just thought I should know. You're right, Joe. I should. Good for you, Joe. Didn't have to buy one of those Brenton USA hunting rifles, did you? Hey, Chris, not a problem. And you say still haven't filled my bear tag. I will not fill my bear tag. The window of opportunity has closed. Has closed. Evening, Chris. How are you? James Edwards, somebody I know here, says the non-kill comment is not 100%. There have been issues of cheating in the catch and CPRs attorneys as well. If you look at it, there's a lot of money involved. There's always going to be somebody looking to cut corners. Absolutely. Absolutely, James. I agree with you. I'm just saying what Jerry Fox said. And I do agree that if you have a kill tournament, it makes it easier. But I agree with you. If there's enough money involved, dirtbags are going to be dirtbags. Josh, hey, James, how did things look out there today, by the way? Okay. Consent decree was extended 48 days again. What a mess. It's beyond a mess, Josh. It is a cluster fluster of maximum proportions. And it's not going to end up well for recreational anglers or charter captains. It's not going to end up well at all. The handwriting's on the wall. I don't see any way where this doesn't come out to be a bad deal. Lee says, had some guys in Tennessee catching fish ahead of the tournaments, keeping that's happened a lot. Mike says he hunts and fish because he likes to eat and fish wild game. Jeff says his integrity is worth more than $300,000. Feel your pain. Never saw a bear. You know, Chad, it's interesting. Very little deer sign. Interesting. Brenton's next on the list. One thing at a time. I hear you, Joe. Am I disappointed that I didn't get a Michigan bear? Yeah, of course I am. I'm disappointed because it was a goal. I had set a goal for myself of shooting a Michigan black bear. This was my third attempt at taking a Michigan black bear. And I was really excited to use that Brenton 350 Legend on a bear to see what it does. It wasn't meant to be. Mother Nature threw us a massive curveball. Johnny did his thing. The bears were coming in. Massive weather change. The bait shut down, not just for Johnny, but for other hunters as well. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. I wish now, though, that I would have taken a bear up in White River, Ontario, so we'd have some bear meat. But I will get another chance. I'll be up there in 2 years. Well, I'll be in Ontario again this summer, and I'll be in Michigan in the UP 2 years. Very little deer sign. Box truck blind. That's good to hear, James. That's good to hear. A couple of big bucks picked out for me, plus a couple of big fat does. Thanks, Chris. I love hunting Kansas. Chris, I do love hunting Kansas. I do. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Hey, James. Remember the guy I was talking about? That's Brian right there. John says, I don't know anything about bears, but I would have thought that a cold front. Me too, John, because I was saying earlier that a cold snap will put whitetails up on their feet and moving, but apparently it's not the same for bears. Apparently it's not. Not quite time for a Maker's Mark and Crystal Light, but it will be in about a half hour. I know it's been good, but Johnny's baits have still not been getting hit. Yes, James is coming to Ohio, Ed. You're about at the end of shooting hours, aren't you, Ed? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ed. Happy birthday to you. All right, so let me tell you who's on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. My opening guest is a guy named Vance Gowell. He's a farmer from the northern lower peninsula, but he's also a bear guide and an elk guide. He tells the story. Well, his two young daughters got their first deer this year in the youth hunt. His wife shot her first buck with a bow the opening day of bow season. And then he tells the story of how he took a blind combat veteran, a hero who got blown up with an IED and lost his eyesight, totally blind. He took this guy on a bear hunt and got him a bear. He took this guy on a bear hunt and he got him a bear. Brian, just so you know, James is my son. He's not just some whack job asking you to call him. That's my son. It is hump day, Chris. No, I will, Dan, because I put in for the third season. So statistically, like 100% of people who apply for most of the tags in the UP, if you apply for a third season, you'll get it every other year. Yeah, it's not an if, it's pretty much a when. All right, Michelle, that'd be okay. Deal. If I'm hunting bears with Johnny next year, you listen, I would be very pleased, Michelle, to have that bear, to have that gun, that Brenton 350 Legend, take a bear with you behind it. That'd be great. Anyway, Vance tells the story of taking this blind combat hero and getting him a bear. Look at this, Ross. Hey, Aditya, how you doing, buddy? Ross, company is here. Company is here. So Ross is done with us because his company is here. And then at the end of the second hour, Tony Clore, another Michigan bear hunter, joins me to tell the story of bear hunting in the UP with a bow. He shoots a bear. He waits a half hour for the guide to get there because some guides require this. If they don't know you or whatever, they say, look, don't go after the bear until I get there and go with him. That's fine. So Tony's waiting in the tree stand for the guide to show up. And it's only, he said, like 20 minutes or a half hour. They go to recover his bear, and his bear has been eaten by wolves. So he tells that story. By the way, he tried to get another bear tag from the DNR because he said, look, wolves ate my first one. I didn't get it. They said, yeah, we can't help you at all. In my second hour, I'm talking to Captain Jeff Godey of the Michigan Experience about waterfowl hunting on Saginaw Bay. Then Nick Green from MUCC checks in. In my third hour, oh, this is cool. Congrats, Chris. Chris is sitting on the tailgate of his truck waiting to retrieve his buck. Congrats, Chris. Congrats. Send me a picture and I'll be sure to post it here on the page, Chris, the Facebook page. Good job. Congrats. Mike Stewart, who is an audiologist, he's a doctor of audiology, and he is a hardcore hunter. He has been studying the effect of shooting on hearing loss for many, many years. So he has some great tips on how to avoid damaging your hearing from shooting. Personally, my hearing isn't so good because age is a factor, but also because I've done quite a bit of shooting in my younger years. Hey, Tanya, how are you? Thanks for your comments, Tanya. Without any kind of hearing protection. In fact, there was one particular incident. I'd never had a chance to shoot 45 before. And a guy had a 45 and he had like 4 boxes of ammo. He said, you want to shoot it? And like, yeah, I've never shot a 45 before. So I put 4 boxes of ammo through that thing without any ear protection, hearing protection at all. And when I was done, honestly, my ears were ringing so bad and I couldn't hear anything but muffled noises for like the next 24, 36 hours. Now, Mike says when that happens, you have damaged your hearing. So it was that one incident in particular but also cumulative over years. Then he says it's the high frequency hearing that goes first. He said you'll know that because you won't be able to hear women's voices because they're higher frequency, and I can't. He said you'll also know you have a problem when you feel like people are mumbling. They're not, but it sounds like they're mumbling. And he said the third indicator, he says, when you are in a room with a crowd and the background noise overwhelms the conversation you're trying to listen to, that's my biggest problem. He says you have suffered significant hearing loss. So he talks about how to prevent it, and also talks about something I didn't want to hear, hearing aids. Well, it's not just tinnitus or tinnitus, it's that and more, Aaron. Tinnitus is minor, but we're talking about something beyond that even. Good evening, Penny. How are you? But yes, you're absolutely right. Where'd you go? You're absolutely right, Aaron. He said, Mike, you really should look at getting fitted for and trying hearing aids, which, you know, I don't think I want to do that yet. I don't think my hearing is that bad. I mean, I don't want to, I don't think I want to make yet another concession to old age. You've been dealing with it for 20 years, hey, Aaron? Is it from shooting, Aaron? Do you know? Were you in the military? You know, um, I got two fake knees, and I feel like that's enough of a concession to old age without going for hearing. I'm not even going to comment, Josh. I will put your comment up, but I'm not going to comment. Yeah, I don't think mine is bad enough yet to go the hearing aid route. I know my wife Denise says it, but my wife Denise has a very soft voice. And I've noticed other guys my age, Uncle Johnny and Uncle Rick, they'll say the same thing. I can't tell what she's saying. Okay, Lee, I wouldn't doubt that at all. And I don't think I'm quite there yet. It's like a knee replacement. The doctor always says you'll know when it's time. And I knew, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. Craig says hearing is shot because of working in plants, shooting in loud rock music. Greg, loud rock music, me too. I remember being so stupid as a kid, going to a concert and going up to the speakers and putting my ear against it. Now, why? Why? Why in God's name would I do that? Because I was young and dumb and stupid. And now I'm paying for it. Chris says his was caused by a work. Yeah, work, heavy equipment. It's not good. But the point of the whole conversation with Dr. Stewart is, if it's not too late already, you can do something about it. And it's very simple. Just wear hearing protection. Get a suppressor. If you can, like I have a suppressor right now on order for my 350 Legend. Aditya says cars are going to... I don't doubt that, Aditya. And there's not much, well, there is something you can do about that. But on a gun, if you can suppress your gun, that's a good idea. I have a suppressor on order for my Brenton 350 Legend. In fact, it's a Brenton suppressor. Go to subsonic ammunition if you can. And wear some kind of hearing protection. Interesting. You mentioned Uncle Ted, Craig. I think it's official now. I think I have been blackballed by the Ted Nugent organization. Used to be whenever I called, I could get Ted on the show. A couple of years ago, they asked me to have a certain guest. Hey, Mark, how you doing? A couple of years ago, they asked me to have a certain guest on the show. And I said I wasn't interested because that particular guest I viewed as nothing more than a Ted Nugent wannabe. I didn't give him much credibility or credence except for his association with Ted. And I said, I'm going to respectfully decline. And I think that got me blackballed because ever since then, I've made several requests to get Ted on the show. And I'm coming up with crickets. So, well, not crickets. The answer is no. So I think I might have hosed myself on that one. Michelle, hers is caused by Michelle said her hearing loss is caused by that big, lovable lug of a husband of hers listening to the TV too loud and the radio too loud in the truck. So indirectly, Michelle, your hearing loss was also caused by shooting. Mark, look forward to seeing you in Ohio. Mark, you and me and Ed need to commiserate on our bear hunts where we all sat multiple days and never saw an animal. All right. You keep them chained up for me, Chris. Have fun. Have a good night at work. BB is a well-known whitetail name in Kansas, but Chris tells me he's originally a Michigan guy who moved to the big buck state of Kansas. The biggest buck I ever shot was a 150-inch 10-point, and it was in Kansas. Many years ago. All right, what else is on my list? What's on your list? What do you want to talk about tonight? Oh, I've been saying for quite a while that I wasn't a big fan of bear meat. I like bear burger and I love bear brats, but I said I'm not really interested in a bear steak or a bear roast. My good friend Tony Sovey, who was hunting with us with Johnny Bowler, also didn't see a bear, by the way, and he said a fifth night. I only said four. Brought up a roast that he had. I don't know where he got the bear from. I don't know if he shot it or somebody else shot it, but I'm telling you what. And he said, look, take this. I said, I don't like bear roast. He said, take it. He put it in a Ziploc container and he sent it back to me. He said, you got a microwave in your room, right? I said, yeah. He said, when you get home from hunting tonight, you put that in the microwave and you let me know what you think. Holy cow. It was so good. It was so good. Your little buck. Why do I think it's not really a little buck, Chris? James says his hearing loss is from 5 years in the engine room on a Navy amphibious ship. USS Whidbey Island, LSD 41. I bet that'll do it too, James. Anyway, Tony made this bear roast that was just outstanding. I mean, you got to know how to cook it, right? But it was really, really good. My wife Denise made venison chili a couple of days ago with the venison that my grandson Carter shot. By the way, Carter, if you're watching, we owe you some venison burger. I had it ground up straight venison. I didn't have him put any pork or anything else in there. Just straight, lean, beautiful venison. It might be a bit dry for some people, but it was good. Man, it was good. My plan was when I got my Michigan bear is I was going to take that to Stutzman's butcher shop near Claire and have them skin and quarter it. And then I was going to debone it. And I was going to take the deboned, skinned and quartered quarters to Michigan brand in Bay City and have them make some things up. I need to reach out to Nick Grillo again because here he is bear hunting in moose hunting in Ontario right now, bow hunting. He was planning to do it. Outfitter called him and said, I got to put you back till next year. And then at the last minute, he got a call, said, look, I got an opening. If you can be here in 2 days, let's do it. Jim says, I'm like you. Bear meat leaves a lot to be desired. Bear sausage is palatable. I haven't had bear sausage, but I have had bear burger, which I like. Bear brats on the grill are outstanding. But I'm telling you, Jim, if you had the bear roast that my buddy Tony made, oh my gosh, it was good. Eric says he always does straight venison, no additives. Yeah, why not? I mean, why, right? Why take good, God-given, wholesome, what's the word? Not generic, when no additives are added to it. Help me out. Somebody will come up with it. If you've got that, yeah, why would you put something else in it, right? It's a buzzword. All the flower people, I know it's an old term, right? What's the word when it's got no additives, no preservatives, not free range, but we're going the right direction. It is all in the cooking, Marty. What is the term, my friends? Free range is close. I got a mental block. Organic. Thank you, Todd. It's organic. Yes. Organic. Yes. Organic, yes. Organic, yes. Organic, yes. Organic, yes. That's the word I was looking for. Hey, listen, where are you guys when I'm going through my day and I can't find a word? I should just come on the line and say, look, here's my concept. Here's what I'm thinking of. What's the word? And you could help me out. Yes, the word is organic. Hey, Dwayne, I didn't know you were hiding out there. How are you? Pure, perfect protein. That would be a term too. Grass fed, but organic is the word I was looking for. All of you who guessed organic, I have a prize for you. You go to Jay's Sporting Goods, and when you check out, you tell them that Avery said that you should get a special discount. That's your prize. I don't think it'll do any good, but your prize is you can walk in there thinking you got a discount from Avery, courtesy of Avery from Jay's. You won't. Going back to the podcast, the Offshore Tackle Podcast, Jerry Fox Jr., not Fox. Jerry Fox Jr., talking about tournament fishing. He talks about how he won that event on Green Bay last weekend. And then the Primal Tree Stands podcast, talking to the man himself, Bob Ransom. Sorry, Joe. Joe says, now I got to turn around. Sorry, Joe. It's worth a try. I mean, you could try it. I don't think it's going to work, though. Bob talks about the history of Primal. Of course, Bob is the guy who started Ameristep. This is the American dream come true. Bob Ransom used to work for another company in the archery business. I think there is, Craig. I think there is one opening. Yeah, we talked about him, James. They're dirtbags. Bob Ransom worked for another company in the hunting/archery business. He was unhappy there, so he left to start his own company. That company was called Ameristep. Bob started Ameristep with one product, one model of a screw-in tree step. We now call them gut hooks because if you use screw-in tree steps and you fall and get hooked on one of those, they are gut hooks. So he started the company with that. He grew it, added a bunch of new products, grew it into a big successful company. And like is the American dream, he sold it out to a bigger company. Part of that was he had a non-compete clause for 5 years. For 5 years, he couldn't get back in the business. Bob is a very high intensity, high energy, high level guy. Those 5 years drove him crazy. And as soon as he had the 5 years in, he jumped back into the industry and he started Primal Tree Stands. Primal, the company that makes the Wraith 270 see-through ground blind. Well, Derek, right there, what I recommend is for bow hunting is the Primal Tree Stands Wraith 270 see-through ground blind. That's my go-to. That's my number one. And here's the cool thing. If you go to primaltreestands.com, and use the promo code Avery, you can get one for under $200. Primaltreestands.com, use the promo code Avery, and you can get a Wraith 270 see-through ground blind for less than $200. It's 270 degrees of visibility. The front and the side, it's a one-way see-through mesh. The back is black, which is what you want it. You don't want a 360-degree see-through blind because you'll be silhouetted. You want the back to be black, and the Wraith 270 is. Eric says he loves his. I've got them all over the place. I've left them in Ohio, just like at Jay's. I don't think Jay's has them, James. Yeah, no, this is for real. No, this is for real. If you go to primaltreestands.com, use the promo code Avery. This is a real one. You can get one for less than $200. That is legit. Yeah, that's not like my fake Jay's discount. Yeah, I've got them up in Ontario. I've got them up in the UP. I've got them here in Michigan. I've got them in Ohio. Everybody I know, honestly, I knew what you meant. It took me a minute, James, but I figured it out. I've never talked to anybody who has had a bad experience with them. The only thing I've heard is from people some people have a hard time figuring out how to fold it back up once they open it up. And I get that, but once you've done it a couple times, it's like second nature. And here's the thing. With the old Ameristep blinds, the hub style blinds, you had to be careful how you packed them back up, how you folded them back up, because you could break the hubs. I intentionally have been very rough on these Wraith 270 blinds because, to be honest with you, I knew if I broke a hub, I could just make a phone call and get another one. So I was rough on them. And I put those in a couple of contortions that I would have thought for sure it would have broken a hub or broken a support pole. I can't get them to break. So don't worry about being gentle with them. When you get them figured out, you can reef on them and put them back together and they will work. They'll work. Lost Glove Farm says he got a discount or they got a discount on MUCC membership last night using my promo code. Excellent, Lost Glove. MUCC.org, MUCC.org. Use the promo code Mike, all caps, and you can save 25% on signing up to become an MUCC member. Let's go through the different promo codes. I told you about the Primal Tree Stands promo code. I told you about the MUCC promo code. It's excellent in wet weather. Excellent in wet weather. If you go to BrentonUSA.com, use the promo code Avery, you can get $100 off on a Brenton USA hunting rifle. And if you go to MichiganBrand.net, Michigan Brand Meats, use the promo code Mike21, you can get a 20% off there. Are they bear proof? No. Unfortunately, no. But I haven't found a portable pop-up blind yet that is bear proof, Marty. But I know what you're talking about because I've had bears eat a couple of mine. It is what it is. You put them out where there are bears. Bears are curious critters. They're going to check them out. And if there's something there they want to check out closer, what they do is they push them in or they push on them and then the thing folds in on them. And then I think it makes them mad. So they start pawing at it and raking at it. And well, you shouldn't be just joking, Marty, because I've had bears eat them. They don't eat them. They destroy them. They chew them up and they put claw marks in them. In fact, I've got a Wraith right now somewhere. I think I was using it turkey hunting. That I opened it up and I looked at it and I said, son of a gun, those are teeth marks right there. And I remember I used it in Ontario last year and a bear came up and bit on it and put teeth marks in it. I mean, when I got out there that night, the blind had been pushed in and there were teeth marks in the blind. So no, they do. Bears are curious. That's why when I was bear hunting in Ontario, I had that sow come up and look in the blind at me. They're curious. They just want to know. They're not dangerous. It's not like you're hunting a polar bear or a grizzly or a Kodiak. They're black bears and they're curious. So what else? I think I've worked my way through everything. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Don't hesitate to use that. Reach out. If you want any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, if you have a question for the Ask Avery segment. Hello, Jeff. How are you doing tonight? That's the best address to use. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. So the email, you can try to reach me on the social media outlets, messaging platforms, but there are so many of them. It's just confusing. I get lost. So either send me an email or shoot me a text. And if you have my cell number, you can shoot me a text. My number is 9896. Oh, I'm not going to give you my cell number. A lot of you on here right now already have it, but I'm not going to put my cell number out on the internet. I think that's going to wrap it up, my friends. Eric says he always leaves the door open when bear hunting when you leave. Interesting, Eric. So if that's you know what? That's a very good point. Leave the door open because yes, good point. Oh, we got some great comments coming in. James says, I think research shows most bear attacks are black bears. Yes, because there are more black bears and there are more black bear human encounters. That's why. Correct way and easiest way to take down a standard 5-hub blind is from the inside. Pull the hub towards you, and when there's only one side open to the rear, flip it over your head, and the entire blind will fall and ready for the back. Cool. Great advice. The DNR app is interesting. Yes, it is. And you're going to have to use it to check in your whitetails. Let's see where we're at here. You know what we got to do now, don't you? Because we start the show out with this. It wouldn't be a Wednesday Night Live if we didn't start it out with this and wrap it up with this. My name is Mike Avery. I appreciate you being along with us. Again, the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. The email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. It is always a pleasure to be with you. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you joining me on this edition